Hey everybody, before we start the show, I want to let you know about a very special upcoming event. The UC Master Gardeners of Sacramento County are hosting their big annual event, Harvest Day 2024. This is next week on Saturday, August 3rd at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center at Fair Oaks Park, which is located at Fair Oaks Boulevard and Madison Avenue. Now, at this event, you can see the demonstration garden, you can ask questions of master gardeners, and best of all, you can see some of our friends from the show as featured speakers. Our friend Kevin Marini is going to be talking soil, expert Ed Livo is talking fruit trees, and our very own producer Greg Gayton is presenting plants for Zone 9B. Now, this is my personal favorite garden event of the year, and I highly recommend you all come check it out. Again, Harvest Day is Saturday, August 3rd from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, hit the link in the episode description, and I hope to see you all out there. All right, let's start the show. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Kevin Jordan or his guests. These gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And it's grow time. Welcome, everybody. So glad you can make it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the show. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your happy host, Kevin Jordan, and man, do I love growing plants. We got a great episode for you this week. We are going to have a problem solver of a week. Have you been struggling in the heat? Well, we've got a category of plants just for you. Whether you are a seasoned green thumb or you're a new gardener, this category of plants is one that everybody should be growing and cultivating. And by this episode, I hope you agree with me. But before we get started, let's say hi to my main man, Austin on audio. He works the ones and the twos. He crosses my T's and dots my lowercase J's. Austin Blank, how's it going there, buddy?
Hello, Kevin, and welcome back to all of our listeners. And I'm having a good time over here in the studio. And I actually bought a new drum set.
Oh, good for you.
This week, so I've been getting back into playing drums. Sorry, neighbors, but here we go. But no, I'm excited to talk about this topic because I have been struggling in the heat a little bit with my crops, but my succulents are looking great.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an opportunity to share some old guests from last year and beyond, some local succulent legends, basically.
For sure.
We're going to listen back to Gerhard Bach and our good friend Dave Roberts, and I've got some amazing garden tour videos to share.
Both of their yards were incredible.
They're inspiring.
Oh,
they
for
really
sure.
are. So just to get into this topic, Kevin, I want to start with, what is the difference between a cactus and a succulent?
Well, cactus, they are succulents. So just generally, succulents, they're a diverse plant group. They typically will have fleshy leaves, fleshy stems and roots that help store water to help them survive, periods of drought without rain or irrigation. So they're very rugged plants that are hardy and are adaptive to really dry climates. Cactus live within that succulent group, but the difference is they, instead of storing it in their leaves, they've got thorns and spines, and they store a lot of it in either cylindrical or kind of rounded stems that are, packed full of moisture that they also utilize for periods of drought. So cactus or succulents, man, both are the way to go. Just usually cactus a little pointy, succulents nice and smooth typically.
A little pointy. So the points, those things used to be their leaves.
Yeah, they're now they've evolved or modified leaves that help protect the plant. Some of them can have some photosynthetic properties, but a lot of that is going on in the stem. You'll notice the stems of your cactus are green, and so they can actually produce chlorophyll and create energy for the plant and feed it as it grows. So they're really wild and kind of cool plants. I wasn't super sold on cactus until we went to Gerhard Bach's yard.
Yeah.
And I saw his garden, and it was incredible. Same with David Roberts. I mean, both of them were utilizing cactus and succulents in ways that I didn't really think were possible in a home garden. and it really made for just an incredible site.
Oh yeah, we say this word lush, but it really applies here. They didn't like 100% have cactus and succulents. They also had other climate adapted plants that come from all around the world, and their garden tours are just, it's magical. It's really great to see this utilized in such a successful way. So I'm excited to share the success of succulents with our listeners here. Let's go ahead and jump into our interview and garden tour with the legendary Gerhard Bach. He has a great is in Davis is his home garden. We got the full tour. It was really great. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. Here we go.
Hey, how's it going, Gerhard?
Good. Thank you guys for coming out.
Well, I want to say thank you off the bat because this is one amazing home garden. I mean, it is like a botanical garden, like a little in a slice in front of someone's house. I cannot believe you created this. How long did it take?
It probably is going on 10 years now, but a lot of plants have only been in the ground for a few years because I edit a lot. You know, as plants get too big, this is a small space. You know, it's really small, a small front yard. And as plants get too big, I just take them out and plant something smaller. This used to be front lawn, a traditional, front lawn, and I had so much space to create room for all the plants that I already had or wanted to get. When I found a plant that I liked, I got it and put it in the ground. And, it's not like you can go to one nursery and buy everything you need. You just go to different nurseries or, as you meet people. I'm a member of the Sacramento Cactus and Succulent Society. We meet every fourth Monday of the month at 7 o'clock at the Shepherd Garden and Art Center near McKinley Park. And you meet a lot of like-minded people. And you visit their gardens and they share plants, or people bring in plants they want to get rid of, or they have too many, or just cuttings.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to plant people and people who are into it, they can see, a lot of folks, I love that they can see the value in a seedling, in a cutting, something very small, and they go, I can grow that. That's going to be beautiful. And what I love about you and your landscape is that every plant has a story, whether from the time how you got it or where you planted it, but also plants carry a story with them, where they came from, their native habitats. And I noticed that in your landscape, you're pointing out different plants. You're like, oh, that's from the Canary Islands. This one's from South Africa. These ones are from Australia. And I love that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, basically, I have plants from all over the world, from climates that are similar to ours. So that's why I like to call them climate adapted plants. If they come from a climate that's similar,
dry
summers, they can grow here. And you're not limited to a specific one group of plants. Whatever plant you like, buy it and put it in the ground. And you're not always successful. Sometimes, no matter what you do, a plant dies. I mean, that's not your fault. It just is life.
I love that. You're like, it's okay.
It's okay, and sometimes you have a plant for a few years and then it dies. It's like, oh, I loved this plant when I put it in. Now, maybe I don't love it as much anymore. So, it's just another opportunity to plant something else.
Yeah, well, you certainly have a lot of plants. I don't think I saw too many plants replicated, throughout the landscape. Only a few little clusters, but there's so much biodiversity out here.
I know.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah, it is on purpose. I know good garden design is repetition. And, I've certainly seen minimalistic gardens where there's like maybe 5 different plants repeated over and over. But that's not what I like. I'm sort of a cramscaper. I love, maximalist garden design.
A cramscaper.
Just cram it as much as you can. And while specific plants don't necessarily repeat, there's so much similarity between plants, so there is visual repetition, even if it's not the same plant that repeats. And basically, I'm not trying to please designers or anybody else. It's like, it has great curb appeal, but that's sort of secondary to me. I just want a garden that I like, that excites me. And I also, like to see things that I absolutely don't like, because it's like I ask myself, well, what is it that I don't like? And I realize I don't have to like everything, Everybody should have exactly the space that they want. And if other people don't like it, well, that's their problem.
There we go. I like it. Yeah, you don't have to follow the rules.
Yeah,
Break them.
Break them, you know? It's like I was in Portland once visiting a friend's garden, which is pretty much a very spiky garden. And somebody was saying, oh, you know, I hate that garden. I got poked. You know, this is all fine. You know, you don't have to have a garden like that. You can have petunias and geraniums if that's what you want.
I think cactus, they get a bad rap sometimes
do.
for being like, aggressive plants. So it's like, no, they're sitting there. It's like, you just got to work your way around. And we've been walking through your landscape, all morning, and there are plenty of things that are pokey. I haven't been poked once.
Yeah, and it's not like cacti are
Malicious.
trying to waylay you and like jump out at you. You plant them a little bit away from where people walk, and they just sit there. You don't have to touch them. And for weeding, I now use a telescoping weeder that made by Corona.
I saw that, a fishtail weeder with a long extendable handle.
Yeah, so you can even get under a cactus and pull out a weed without having to go near it and get poked.
So Gerhard, how can we find your blog if folks are interested to keep up with you?
Go to succulentsandmore.com. It's easy to remember. And anybody can access it. You can leave comments if you like something, or you can just simply look at it. There's also a box where you can enter your email address, and then every time I post something new, you get that sent to you via email as well. So you don't have to go to the website. But I like blogs because it's there all the time, and you can go back in time and look at things like on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, a nice picture pops up. But you go back 3 days later, it's like, oh, I saw something really interesting, but try and find it because so much stuff has scrolled by. While a blog, it's static, it's all there. Add to it, but you can always go back and find, stuff that I wrote 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I do actually go back very often myself to see, oh, when did I buy this plant? Or where did I buy it? When did I buy it? What did it look like then? So I can compare. It's a great resource for myself too, and apparently for other people that I have inspired. Or
I was going to ask, have you met people from that, and have they said anything nice to you about it?
Yep, I've actually last week somebody emailed me. He lives in Oakland, I think. He said, "Oh, do you want to come see my garden?" He sent me some pictures of his garden. So yeah, I'm going to see his garden and take pictures and write a blog post about that. And so my blog is a way to connect. Succulent societies are a great way to meet like-minded people. We have the Succulent Society in Sacramento. There's one in San Francisco. There's one in San Jose. So there are clubs out there. Just like there's orchid clubs or perennial plant clubs, there's a club for anything. And you meet like-minded people and you get plants because you visit somebody else's garden. I guarantee you they're going to send you home with some plants because succulents are easy to propagate.
That's what I love about them.
They're
Whether it's
so easy to
leaf
propagate.
cuttings,
Yep.
branch cuttings, all
There's
that.
always something to share. Or somebody says, oh, I really like this plant. It's like, well, if it's a clump, I can just rip out a piece and, give it to my visitor.
Yeah, that's always fun. I love doing that.
It's actually super cool when you know that a plant that you gave to somebody, now it's in their garden. Maybe at some point they share it with somebody else. We have a friend in Austin, and she had a Wales tongue agave bloom, and she had, 5 or 6 little offsets, and she sent them to people all over the country. So now there's a piece of her garden in Austin. I have it in here. A friend of mine in Portland has it. So it's kind of cool, because you feel more connected. What I love most is that they really don't need much at all. They need a little bit of water. You stick them in the ground, and you don't ever have to touch them again unless you want to. It's not like orchids or whatever that need constant care. They are so self-sufficient, You stick them in the ground, they will grow. They don't need fertilizing, need a little water. And that's what I like because I'm not the guy who wants to go out there walking around with a hose, 3 times a week.
No way. Low maintenance, easy to take care of.
Easy to take care of. Very easy.
Awesome.
And they look great.
And they look great. Yeah, they do. They certainly look great. And I've noticed cactus, their blossoms are beautiful, but no one's ever talking about them. But I've seen some of yours are like in bloom. You can tell some that bloomed, and they are gorgeous.
Cacti, I think, have the most amazing flowers, mainly because the body of the cactus looks so plain or so, nondescript, and then when you see this big, colorful flower, it's like, wow, this...
The two almost don't even seem to even go together.
This unassuming plant can produce something so beautiful. And cactus flowers are very ephemeral. You know, some only last a day, some last a couple of days. So the fact that they're not always in bloom, I think makes it special, because when they do bloom, it's like, wow, you know, it's an event. I know people who plan their whole vacation schedule around when cacti are going to bloom in their garden, because if you're gone, you know, you miss it.
Now, that's a passionate grower right there.
Yeah.
Well, Gerhard, I just can't thank you enough for inviting us out here. I'm blown away at what you've created, truly. I mean, it's epic. This is an epic garden. There's so much to look at. I just love it. I think you're just an incredible grower, and I really appreciate you, bud.
Thank you guys for coming out.
All right, that was our interview with Gerhard Bach. Please go ahead and check out the video. There's a link in the episode description. I really, really love Gerhard because he has such a rich diversity of plants in his yard, and he's also a big proponent for finding a community of like-minded people. So do check out his blog post. You can find lots of engagement on his website there, and he can connect you. You know, if you're looking for a friend to talk about cactus and succulents, Gerhard is your man. So any other thoughts, Kevin?
Well, that's an incredible resource, but man, his garden, his yard, it was packed with so many different types of cactus and succulents. I think he had more variety just of those plants than I have total plants in my front yard. It was incredible. He really kind of maximized his usage.
Well, that's what he calls it, maximalist style. And then he's got that term cramscaping.
He cramscaped the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It was crammed. I mean, there was tight little corridors to kind of walk through, but there was so much to see, and I really loved it. It's really I keep up with him on Facebook, which I don't. It's like, no, some people it's not as fun. He's got a fun page
because he posts amazing flowers,
beautiful pictures. Just this last spring, he was showing pictures of his echinopsis. And I had some as well that were also blooming, and they bloom and they last just for a few days, and then they're here and then they're gone. But they are some of the most beautiful flowers. And actually, I think that's one thing that we don't realize about cactus and succulents as well, but especially cactus. Their flowers and blossoms can be incredible. You can see this plain little pokey little plant. You don't think much of it. It looks like danger to step on, but man, when they bloom, it is incredible. I mean, it'll give a rose a run for its money. They are gorgeous.
Those are fighting words.
I know, right? Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Gerhard. Also want to jump back into another great interview from the past. This is from our episode number 59 with Dave Roberts, and he has another big passion for these plants, and it really shows in his interview. So let's go ahead and learn from Dave Roberts. Here we go.
How's it going there, Dave?
Real good, Kevin.
So how many different plants do you have back here, or do you even know?
I don't know.
I'm guessing several hundred,
I would guess,
different types.
I would guess 300 or 400 probably.
Yeah, do you have any personal favorites that are near and dear to your heart when you come out here? You just got to check on them every day?
Yeah, I check the whole garden every day, now that I'm retired.
Well, that's a good landscape practice.
And actually, you know, I'll digress just a moment if you'll let me. I had a thing about clients who wanted to garden, but they had huge, busy types of jobs and schedules. But they had stress. And so my thing was to tell them that if you want this nice kind of garden, all you need to do is allocate that few minutes, like 10, 15, 20 minutes each evening, grab a glass of wine, grab your pruners, walk around, just look if that's all you feel like doing. Without too much effort, you can take care of a nice garden.
I like it. Well, you're making a glass of wine, going through the garden at night. Sure. You're making it sound really nice. That's a prescription I can get behind.
And it'll bring your stress level down. And I actually, I worked 14 hours a day when I was in business, and so I needed like a little cool down.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like too that, benefit is this, your stress and whatnot, but really just putting some, a few minutes each day, really, I think then your success is going to increase just by putting some time out in that garden.
And you got to see the garden on a very regular basis. That's there's a difference between a landscape and a garden. A landscape you look at and a garden you're involved with.
What are you doing to maintain it? How are you actually really, everything looks so healthy. Well, what are you doing? What's the secret? I see you have some drips and some micro sprays.
I have micro sprays. The cactus garden here, the succulent garden, gets sprays, waters once a month, starting in May, June, July, August, and probably September, since it's been so warm in September's lately. After that, you just let them kind of go and wait for rain. I don't water in the winter, no matter how dry it is.
Because they don't need it? Are they
No
just not
point.
growing as much?
The only thing that's growing is the aeoniums that are winter growers. And again, if they got one watering a month from Mother Nature, that'd be it.
They'll soak it right up.
Soak it right up.
Are you feeding these plants? I know cactus and they're different. They have different, nutritional needs. What are you feeding them? How do you keep all the blossoms and growth coming?
The ones in the ground, I I feed very seldom. Actually, I have not fed them this year, and they're doing fine. But I might, if there's something new or something I want to get cooking along a little better, I might give it a shot when I feed the rest of the garden.
Fantastic. Now, I noticed you have a lot of really beautiful specimens in containers.
Right.
Is that something that you like growing in? Is it can be recommended to grow these cactus in containers?
If you have small garden or you want to collect, containers are a great way. I have, as you can see, several sizes, but none of these are on this display area are huge, nothing over 8 inches. On the other hand, on the patio, we've got some big 24-inch pots and so forth.
Does the care, when you care for these plants, is that going to be different from the way you care for the ones that we just passed that are planted in ground?
Yes. The pots definitely dry out quicker. As a note, I like terracotta. A lot of people like all the glazed or plastic.
That's pretty, but the terracotta breathes?
The terracotta breathes. It takes the moisture away, which that's the killer with cactus and succulents. It's too much moisture. That's why we have a very well-drained soil mix. I make my own mix. It's 2 sizes of lava rock, and then only about a third of organic matter, like a potting mix. And that stuff drains like a sieve. And it does dry out very quickly, which is great, but then, just every 2 weeks for the pots, even
every
the
2
large
weeks.
ones. And that's pretty much, from, again, May through September. As the days get shorter and cooler, I do not water generally after the 1st of November. I put them to bed.
Let them rest for the winter.
Put them in this little greenhouse that I have over here. Not the big ones, but most of the smaller pots. There are some things that are very hardy I leave out, but I don't like them to get beat up by the weather either. So.
Yeah. So when it comes to actually feeding some of the plants that are in containers, do you give them any cacti food? And if so, what do you like to fertilize with?
I'm very simplistic about feeding. You see all these cacti this, cacti that. The key is I use organic liquid fertilizers with usually either you get them with micronutrients in them, or I happen to put micronutrients in. And that's really all you need. You don't need to feed succulents and cactus as much as you would other plants. I feed all my potted stuff twice a year. Usually their first time out of the greenhouse, like maybe around early May, and then maybe June. I might give it a third one, but you don't need to overfeed them. They actually grow naturally in places that are very poor in nutrients. So that's a fast way. If you push cactus and succulents too hard, you will subject them to diseases. So anyway, those are the things that I do. You can use the same fertilizers throughout your garden.
Yeah, just keep it light.
Yeah, just you're not going to need to feed these as much as you would say these annual zinnias.
Just their nutritional requirements just aren't the same.
Nutritional requirements are so much different.
That's good to know, because I feel like sometimes some of the mistakes we make as we garden is just trying to do too much. Like I said, too much watering, or I want to get this plant as big as possible, as fast as possible. Let me feed it. Feed it, and I come back and and after a while you're having problems.
Well, those of us in the plant industry, kind of know from experience, having killed many, many plants.
That's how I learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sad moment, but if you just buckle down and try again and figure out, what did I do wrong?
I love it.
Maybe that daily watering was.
Well, you were saying patience earlier, maybe then back that up with a little more persistence.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's fantastic.
But anyway, it's easy to get started. It really is. And, they just make sure your pots are drained, make sure that your soil's drained well, and don't overwater.
Fantastic.
Those three things.
So now that you've put the work in, the years have moved forward, your garden is well established, how good does it feel to come out here and you just have a glass of wine or a nice cup of ice water? How does that feel?
Well, the whole garden was designed with that in mind. It feels great. I often sit out here in the morning. I get up really early usually this time of year, and I'll hang out here. But, we have guests over. I was in the landscape business, as you were, and I worked with a lot of small gardens, and the key was making it really personal, somewhere where you could enjoy being in the garden. Again, a lot of people, they look out the window at their garden, and that's all they ever do. But if you have a garden like this, you want to be in it. You want to be out here. You want to just, soak it up. And being able to sit down here at this table, these 4 chairs with a couple other friends on a nice warm summer evening is actually just amazing. And I can just see people's eyes kind of going around, listening to the fountain, looking at the different flowers, or the staghorn or the cactus, and it's just...
You can actually feel their heart rate and their blood pressure coming down to healthy levels.
It is. It's a very soothing, and that's, when I was professionally designing landscapes, I really asked people a lot of questions about their lifestyle. What do you like to do? Do you have big parties? Do you, and if you do, how often, and how many people? And we designed the garden around what their needs were. And, I had clients who entertained constantly, and we would have to make sure there was lots of seating areas and, so forth. But again, when you have a smaller garden like this, you have to focus on, that more intimate setting. And, so a little running water, lots of plants around you. You can't get any better some days.
Yeah, it feels great. Well, until next time, Dave, we'll see you again.
All righty. Thanks very much, Kevin.
All right, we are back from our interview with Dave Roberts. Again, there's another video link in the episode description if you want to go see that garden and see what Dave is talking about. It's a lot of great stuff. I really like his lifestyle, his approach to gardening. He wants to be in the garden, not looking at the garden from a distance. He wants
become
to
part of it.
Yeah, and that's something you wouldn't think is possible with cactus and succulents, but he does it, and he does it well.
Well, his garden, his home, beautiful. I mean, you got to watch the video to see for yourself. It is like a piece of artwork.
And that staghorn fern?
Oh my God, it was so huge. Oh, my garden, it was massive. You rarely see those that large outside of like a botanical garden. Let's go back.
Let's go.
Yeah, because it was such a beautiful spot, and it really highlights. I think both their gardens and yards highlight why this category of plants, succulents and cactus, why they're so cool. They can put up with our incredible heat, the weather. They don't require a ton of day-to-day, week-to-week maintenance. So they're low maintenance, low water needs. They don't require a ton of fertilizing to keep them healthy. So there's a lot of benefit.
In the winter, not at all.
Yeah,
no fertilizing
kind of
at all.
laissez-faire. And you wouldn't know it because you would think that it just takes hours and hours and hours when you see these landscapes, but it's pretty incredible what these gentlemen have created, and it all starts with a little bit of passion, enthusiasm, and they've got that in droves, and it's just leading to a ton of success.
So which ones do you recommend? What do you think we should grow?
So a lot of the ones that we're growing mainly outdoors. For me, I have a lot of success outdoor growing, but if you want to bring a few indoors, there are some that you can have success with, but you need to get them near a bright window. So that's like aloe. There's jade varieties. That's your crassulas. My wife's favorite plant, and one I'd love to just say its name, Haworthia. The zebra plant, those ones can survive a bit indoors. Your Kalanchoe tomentosa, the panda plant, those that's like a fuzzy succulent, which is kind of great. They kind of stand out a little bit. And tried and true, the snake plant, Sansevieria, they're a great house plant, but they are also a succulent, and they can handle the lower light conditions of indoors. And just a few that I love outdoors, the agaves. If you're into the ones that have those beautiful rosettes that almost looks like a blossom with its pointed leaves, that's like your echeverias, your hen and chicks, your graptoverias, your graptopetalums. Those are going to have that beautiful structure, and they do great outdoors. For me, I kind of prefer growing those outside. Whenever I try indoors, it's just not enough light. So if you're having trouble, you're trying to grow succulents indoors, and you're noticing them stretching and looking pale, get them outside into more light, and you'll have a lot more success. With that said, I love the string of pearls that hang down, the lithops. It looks like little rocks. You can't even tell if it's a rock or a plant, so they're kind of fun to grow. And of course, stonecrop is just a tried and true succulent for outside. And a lot of these plants, you can grow them in ground just fine, but they really shine, I think, clustered up in containers, that thriller, filler, spiller style. Succulents can be used just like the flowers in the same fashion. So I highly suggest people give them a shot. They're beautiful, they're fun to grow, and very easy to cultivate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin, for the recommendations. And big thank you to Gerhard Bach and Dave Roberts. Recommend our listeners check out both those videos, check out Gerhard Bach's blog, and get into succulents. Kevin, that's all for this week. Go ahead and take us out.
Well, thank you so much, Austin, and thank you to our guests. They are amazing, and I can't wait to go back and visit them again, actually. And to all of you, I hope you're doing great. Have an amazing week out in your garden. Get out there, get some dirt under those nails, have some fun, grow, and keep that love alive. Until next week, garden friends, happy gardening to you all, and please never stop growing.